May 15th, 2021. 4-year-old Carter Gernon is captured heading back to bed while his twin brother Cash is fast asleep. The pair have spent the best part of 3 months at their father's girlfriend's home while he's out of town. There's nothing unusual about this particular night. By now the boys had been used to their new surroundings and had even made friends with the other local children in the area. The fact that they've managed to get some shut-eye just goes to show how comfortable they are at the property on the 7500 block of Florina Parkway at Mountain Creek, Dallas, Texas. However, something horrific is on the horizon. That's allegedly a then 18-year-old man by the name of Darriynn Brown, scooping Cash up out of bed at around 5 AM on May 15th, 2021. No, ladies and gentlemen, he didn't live at the property. He quite literally broke into the house and picked him up before making his way into the night. Darriynn had been a known face in the local area. The twins' father's girlfriend's son, Maury Sherrod, was said to have attended the same school as him, and they were said to have played sports together. However, his mother, the twins' father's girlfriend, Monica Sherrod, later shut down those reports, stating the pair were merely acquainted. The twins were said to have never been formally introduced to Darriynn. However, locals said that he'd been washing the house in the weeks leading up to the day in question. In fact, he'd even interacted with Cash at the property just 2 days before he abducted him. I told him, "Don't come back around my kids, I don't want you. I was out grocery shopping when he was here. I'd left the twins with my boys and daughter. He was only here a short time." Emily, her daughter, said he creeped her out. "I got upset with him." It wasn't just Monica's house he was lurking around though. You see, 10 weeks before the abduction of Cash, Darriynn was spotted on surveillance footage at Monica's neighbour's house doing the exact same thing. It isn't entirely clear what his motive was, although the person would later come out to say that his children normally play basketball in the exact place Darriynn had been sneaking around in. Maybe, just maybe then, those children could have been abducted weeks before Cash was. This footage was found after Cash had been abducted, so it was never reported to the police. Although no children were abducted by Darriynn in that incident, the same can't be said for an alleged event that took place towards the start of February of 2021, just prior to when the twins had relocated to the area. On February 8th, 2021, Darriynn had allegedly entered a man's home and started going through all the rooms and closets. After picking up a kitchen knife, he stumbled across the homeowner and he demanded that Darriynn leave. The man managed to get Darriynn out, but he came back a short while later and started to damage an interior door between the man's garage and home. The homeowner went out to confront him, but as he did, Darriynn sprung forward and re-entered the property, punching the man in the process. Darriynn headed towards the living room where the man's 2-year-old granddaughter was sleeping. He allegedly grabbed her and started carrying her towards the laundry room at the back of the house near the garage door, more than likely to run off with her. The man demanded he put his granddaughter down, but Darriynn didn't listen and continued towards the door. Fearing that he would make off with the young girl, the man ran over before he could get out and forcefully removed her from Darriynn. The man then put her back in the living room and confronted Darriynn, but was met with a punch. He would flee the scene soon after. The man, for whatever reason, decided at that time not to press charges. On April 19th, 2021, a man matching Darriyn's description was spotted attempting to break into people's cars. The person who handed this footage over to the press stated that they contacted the police, but they never followed up with their investigation. In February of 2021, the twins and their father, Trevor, had moved into Monica Sherrod's home in Mountain Creek, a quiet working-class area of Dallas, Texas. Trevor and Monica had met each other in 2019. Over this 2-year period, he and the boys had visited and had even slept over on various occasions. Trevor was supposed to appear in court towards the end of March 2021 for a felony drug possession charge, 2 counts of unauthorized use of a motor vehicle and fraud. However, he fled to Houston, leaving the children with Monica. By that point, she'd already took them under her wing, taking on the role as an adoptive mother. The twins had been calling her mom for weeks. Plus, Monica had various children of her own who lived at the property, and the twins were said to have fitted right in. With Trevor nowhere to be found, it looked as if the boys were going to be staying at the property for the foreseeable future. And so Monica gave them their own room on the opposite side of the house. It was a large home, which is why no one woke up when Darriynn broke into the property in the early hours of May 15th, 2021. So, where did the pair go? Over the course of the next 2 hours, they travelled down the road to a trail just off Issam Lane. It was here Cash would be placed on the ground and stabbed multiple times across his body. Darriynn then scooped Cash back up, travelled over to the 7500 block of Saddle Ridge Drive and dumped his body in the road. Believe it or not, at roughly 7 AM, Darriynn returned to Monica's property and attempted to abduct Carter as well. For whatever reason, Darriynn got spooked and fled from the scene. From here, it's believed he made his way back home, less than half a mile away on the 7400 block of Bayberry Lane. At around 6:45 AM, Aunt Twain Square, a Dallas teacher who had been on her morning jog, came across Cash's body. I saw a clump of hair on the ground and thought it belonged to a dog. I was on the phone with my mom, and as I got closer, I could see an arm and a foot, and I just began crying saying, "Mom, I think I'm coming up on a body." I said, "Mommy, it's a child, it's a child." The baby had blood all over his face. At that point, my mom told me to get off the phone with her and immediately call 911. The baby had ants all over the bottom of his feet, so I pretty much knew that he was gone. I remember being in denial and hoped Cash was just sleeping, even though he was obviously dead. I was just trying to put together all possible stories. There was no way in my mind that I would think somebody would do that to a kid. I stayed with Cash until police and paramedics arrived, so no one would run over him. One couple that was leaving out of their garage, I had to stop them to let them know that this baby was on the ground. Monica would wake up at around 10 PM on May 15th. She was none the wiser to what had just taken place. "Cash, come out, where are you? Stop playing now and come out." But as you know, he never would. She would place a 911 call roughly 30 minutes after waking up to report Cash as missing. And even though the police wouldn't tell her that a young child was believed to be dead just up the road, word soon made its way to her via her children, and she started to connect the dots. All family members would be taken in for questioning. Police wanted some answers. A blooded tissue and a pocket knife were found within the property, so police had their suspicions. The family all had the same story though. They went to bed, and when they woke up, he was gone. The door had been damaged, and so someone had to have broken in. All suspicions about the family would be nipped in the bud when one of the children remembered there was a nanny cam in the twins' room. When police watched the footage with Monica, she knew straight away it was Darriynn, and so he was identified as the main suspect. Darriynn was arrested on the 16th of May on charges of kidnap and theft. Investigators had to wait for forensics to come back before they could charge him with murder. To no surprise, when the forensics linked him to the murder, he was charged with exactly that. 3 days after he was charged, the grandfather from the incident in February would come forward to police stating that he now wanted to press charges given what had unfolded. And so he was charged with kidnap, theft, burglary, and injury to a child, elderly individual, or disabled individual.
A man charged with murdering a 4-year-old Dallas boy after taking that sleeping child from his bed will not stand trial anytime soon. Hello, I'm Steve Eager.
And I'm Heather Hayes. Darriynn Brown was declared incompetent for trial. Police say Brown kidnapped 4-year-old Cash Gernon and repeatedly stabbed him. The boy's body was found on a neighborhood street. Fox 4's Alex Boyer takes us through the latest in this case. Alex.
Hi guys, and this is the decision that his defense team was really hoping for. They maintained that Brown was hallucinating and in a trance-like state at the time of the murder and also suffers from other major depressive orders. Well, the prosecution brought in its own medical expert who also concluded that Brown is incompetent to stand trial. Inside this Dallas County courtroom Friday, a magistrate declared capital murder suspect Darriynn Brown incompetent to stand trial.
He can finally, now get the help that he needs so that he can assist us in his representation.
Heath Harris and Valerie Baston are Brown's defense attorneys. Brown was arrested last May and later indicted for the murder of 4-year-old Cash Gernon. Investigators said Brown was the man seen on home surveillance video taking Gernon from the bedroom where he was sleeping. Gernon was in the care of a woman who lived in a home off Saddle Ridge Drive in Dallas. She knew Brown. Gernon's body was found by a jogger 8 blocks away from the home on a neighborhood street the next morning. Investigators said the boy was stabbed to death.
Maybe someday we can, get to the facts of this case, which we believe are going to show that he does have a mental defect that potentially may have led to this tragedy, and that he may be entitled to an insanity defense.
The competency decision was made after the prosecution's own psychiatric expert determined after conducting a mental evaluation that Brown was unfit to stand trial. The defense's doctor came to the same conclusion months ago.
Both reports basically reflect what Mr. Harris and I have been experiencing with our client, Darriynn, that he is not competent and that he needs to get treatment.
Harris says Brown will likely be transferred to Vernon Psychiatric Hospital once a bed opens up.
Our society has rules regarding competency.
Dr. Robert Sanders is a former prosecutor and defense attorney. Sanders says it's possible Brown will never be deemed competent to stand trial. If he is, and the defense does indeed raise an insanity defense, the prosecution will have the burden to prove Brown knew that his actions were wrong.
In order for that insanity defense to work, he's got to be insane at the time of the act.
Brown's defense team knows the public wants answers.
We ask people to be patient in forming their opinions or their judgment about this.
And I contacted the district attorney's office after the hearing. A spokeswoman tells me that at this point, they have no comment.
Right.
You do have to ask yourself what the police were doing and why steps weren't taken to put Darriynn in jail or into the hands of medical professionals. Multiple reports were made, but ultimately nothing happened, and sadly, a 4-year-old had to die for action to take place.
Oh, he was happy. He was a happy baby. He, eager to learn. He was very eager to learn. He wanted to know how to read so bad. He always said, "What does that say? And what's that say? And then what's that say?" Oh, man.
Was he a happy child?
He was a very happy child. Very, very, very happy. And he was, like I said, eager to learn. He loved bugs. I don't like bugs. Cash would chase me with bugs. And he thought it was funny. Cash was more outspoken than Carter. Cash was the leader. He was the one that showed Carter how to do everything. Carter's the smart boy. Cash was the one that was brave enough to follow through with everything. So Cash was he loved school. He loved, like I said, reading. He loved books. I used to read to them every night. And he always wanted me to read the same book over and over again.
And you went to shrine to him for the first time yesterday?
Yes.
And you laid down his favourite toy?
His dinosaur. He loved the dinosaur. It was given to him by my son Landon. And Cash, I have so many videos and pictures of him running around the house with that dinosaur. He He will be missed here very much. Very much so. Cash was like my own son.
Can you tell me a little bit about the day when it happened?
Yeah. I woke up a little late because, like I said, Cash didn't wake me up. Cash is normally the one that wakes me up. In the morning, we get up about 7. We eat the breakfast, and then we get ready for school. That's what they called it. And we'd sit at the table and do our ABCs and our shapes and our colors, and then I'd let them go play, and then we'd do lunch and then naps. The day
What
that
happened on this day?
the day that he was missing, I got up late and I thought it was weird. It was kind of like, it's 10 o'clock, you guys, already. You waited late to wake Mommy up, so I figured Cash was still in bed. My son is who walked in the room and said, "Where's Cash at, Carter?" Because they're never separate. They don't separate. And Carter goes, "He went outside. He went out front." So we believed Carter, you know what I'm saying? And so my boys started looking for him, and I started screaming, "Cash, if you're hiding from Mommy, it's not funny anymore. Come out, it's time for breakfast." He wouldn't answer, so I called 911.
Did you look for him around the house?
Yes, they went all the way around the block. My boys did. They went all the way up this alleyway. They walked all the way down to the little corner, you know, yelling for Cash. And he wasn't answering, and I knew something was wrong. Something in my mind I knew. So I called 911 and told them I couldn't find Cash. And they said, "When did I notice he was gone?" I said, "Immediately when I got up, when Carter woke me up. We noticed Cash was gone, and I didn't even think about their surveillance system."
When did you look at the surveillance?
When we were at the detective's office, my son, I was crying and I was confused and like in a million pieces and praying to God they would still find Cash, and that little boy wasn't Cash. I kept telling my daughter, "That's not Cash." And she said, "Mommy, it has to be. Nobody else is missing a baby."
When there was a report of a body that had been found?
And I said, "No, it's not Cash." And when my son had went into his interview, Matthew was the last to be interviewed, he remembered all of a sudden, "Mom has cameras." And I when you're going through something like that, you don't think about all of that. All you think about is your baby that's missing. And when they said, "Mom has cameras," I rewinded the cameras, and there he was, the boy taking my son out of his bed.
How did you feel when you saw that?
I freaked out. I'm sure my kids heard me. I was devastated. I started screaming because my daughter kept telling me, "Mom, somebody did this. Mom, somebody did this to our baby." And I'm like, no, they didn't. He's going to be found. They're going to find him. And they did. They did do it. They took him. Why would they hurt him? He was 4. He was like this big, like he was so little. He wasn't even the size of a 4-year-old. He was so tiny. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't.
Can you just tell me where you saw the